Once upon a time, in the land of discovery, where science danced with hope and humanity, a storm once rose, lawsuits like thunder, and vaccine makers fled in fear and wonder. Children waited, mothers cried, for cures that vanished, dreams that died. So Congress built a gentle gate, a promise fair to balance fate. The Vaccine Injury Program was born, to heal the hurt, protect the sworn. It said, if rare harm comes, we'll care, but let innovation breathe fresh air. Decades passed, diseases waned, trust in science slowly regained. Now whispers stir, should we undo? But the wise recall what chaos can do.
Process onto strategies that can increase production, especially production here at home. So I appreciate this. I'm very proud to represent Virginia, which is a leader in biotech.
Can you make sure that we can still have a place to be able to provide vaccines for your constituents, but at a federal level that has a much more broad impact and does not provide them security?
And so that there, we can help prevent the diseases that the vaccines have been extremely helpful in preventing.
Mr. Chair, great witnesses, great panel, a lot of agreement around this life cycle of innovation, beginning with research through the NIH and our research institutions onto improvements in the validation and approval process onto strategies that can increase production, especially production here at home. So I appreciate this. I'm very proud to represent Virginia, which is a leader in biotech research and innovation. When I was a city councilman and mayor, I helped found and then grow the Virginia Biotech Research Partnership Authority, which has grown investment and interest in biotech in Virginia and the Richmond region. This continued investment is done very well for the Richmond region where I live, but across the state. The Richmond-Petersburg region received an advanced pharmaceutical manufacturing grant through the an ETA Tech Hub designation through the CHIPS Act, but also $52 million for advanced pharmaceutical manufacturing through the American Rescue Plan. And that has really enabled the Virginia biotech industry to take off. Just in the last few months, we've been benefited by announcements for several major projects in Virginia. AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, and Merck are making massive investments, but our ecosystem also includes small innovators that are doing great. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Genelia Farm campus of the Howard Hughes Medical Research Institute in Loudoun this month. So there's a lot going on in Virginia. I wanted to ask about one part of this innovation chain. So beginning with research through approvals and innovation through production. In the 1980s, there was a set of lawsuits filed against vaccine manufacturers over the DPT vaccine, diphtheria, pertussin, tetanus. And those lawsuits threatened to shut down the manufacture of those vaccines in the United States. And so Congress created the the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, which has been a substitute for the traditional tort system and created a no-fault mechanism for those who do suffer side effects from vaccines to receive compensation. By my way of thinking, that's worked pretty well. It has not only worked well to provide prompt recompense to those who do have side effects, it's also done pretty well in enabling us to collect data so we can see how many successful claims per million vaccines there are in DPT and in measles and in COVID. And tracking that data turns out to be really helpful to us as well. I'm very worried that Secretary Kennedy has flirted with the idea of eliminating the program and restoring us to the status quo ante from the 1980s, where it's just like a litigation free-for-all against vaccine manufacturers. And I worry if we went back to that, we would see the same that we were seeing in the 1980s, vaccine manufacturers saying it's just not worth doing it. And then we would lose the ability to actually produce these vaccines here at home. I appreciate that there's uniform acceptance and support for vaccines, safe, reliable vaccines on this panel. How damaging would it be to the production of safe, reliable vaccines here on our home shores if we were to eliminate this vaccine injury compensation program? Dr. Ramachandran, I'll start with you.
It would be disastrous. In particular, manufacturers are very sensitive to what the government is asking for, right? What the regulations are. And so the market is really dictated in many ways, as many of us have talked about, by how government sets policies. And so the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program has provided that sort of security blanket for manufacturers to be able to safely proceed. If they anticipate any sort of disruptions to the market, either because of removal of the program, changes, to recommendations, changes to coverage in particular as well, they will exit the market. And so we're seeing right now across different states some efforts from manufacturers to say, can you make sure that we can still have a place to be able to provide vaccines for your constituents? But at a federal level, that has a much more broad impact and does not provide them security. And for patients, ultimately that means they won't have access to the vaccines that they need, and we will have too few choices to offer them, and the possibility of infections that we thought were gone coming back again, potentially.
If I could ask, are there any other members of the panel who'd like to weigh in on the notion of what would happen if we eliminated the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program? Dr. Kesselheim.
Yeah, I would say it would be extremely damaging. One of the special things about vaccines is that we need confidence in vaccines so that a large number of healthy people take vaccines to prevent the diseases from spreading and from infecting people who therefore who have problems with their immune systems and can't take vaccines that are at risk for it. And so we really need there to be confidence in vaccines so that healthy people take them, and we need there to be a vibrant manufacturing supply of them so that there can be vaccines available to people who need them, and so that we can help prevent the diseases that the vaccines have been extremely helpful in preventing.
I'm over time, but any significant disagreement among the other three panelists to what the first two witnesses have said?
No, I'm in full agreement, Senator. It would be devastating. It would harm many, many people. The system has worked well. We should strengthen and preserve it.
Great. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chair.